Hey guys, it's Sun for Games, and we are back to jump right into some of my favorite artifact gear from Final Fantasy XI. Two sets that stand out as some of my favorite armor in the game, period. Samurai and Paladin. I'm not sure why I put those two together for this video. They basically have like nothing in common thematically, but whatever, they're cool. Let's move on. So let's start off with Paladin. Paladin was that job for me, the job I always wanted to level, but mainly because of the artifact and not because of the job itself. I could never get more than 1 or 2 levels with it before I got bored. It had it all, badass stories of endgame Paladin standing toe to toe with some of the toughest enemies in the game, and as a Tara it just sounded so much cooler because you're so tiny. On top of that, Tara's massive MP pool was actually useful for Paladin, and it gave you a little bit of an argument saying like, no, this would actually make it like a pretty good combo. And have you seen the artifact set? It's such a pure, badass white set. The relic couldn't even improve upon it much. It basically just changed a couple of colors and added a little more detail. My one buddy had a 75 Paladin forever, but he kind of hated it because he felt so useless without the O-Chain or the Aegis. Whether he was right or not, it was one of the few jobs that truly did have some seriously life-changing relic weapons, or relic shields in this case, and he hated that he didn't have them. Paladins just looked like such badasses, and also one of the few to both fight and cast spells during battle, which is just, so cool to like do. It was just the full package, and on top of that would get party invites so often because it was a tank, and tanks were never around. At least way more than summoner or black mage invites I was used to. Except for the one problem. In the age of merit parties and ninja tanks, paladins weren't exactly the preferred option. Sure, you'd take one if that was all that was out there, but you knew the party would have probably been a little bit better if you got something else. Paladins had MP to worry about, which, was a huge issue for a while. They needed more healing themselves, so they'd drain your healer's MP, and they didn't do as much damage as ninja. So, although they could hold heat much better, that wasn't as big of a deal after people stopped doing skill chains. In merit parties at 75, you wouldn't even bother getting a tank most of the time, so if you ever actually made it there, getting merits was pretty tough if it was your only job. Regardless though, back to the amazing artifact gear, and I do mean amazing because this was one of the few party-worthy sets in the game. You could wear this full time. By this video in the series, we've gone over basically every call for option in the game from the original Final Fantasy XI before Seal Art, so I won't beat a dead horse. But the 3 spots that Paladin had to visit were LDM Necropolis, Garlish Citadel, and Bedeau, whatever. Just sorry Paladins, that sucks, that's all. And you weren't gonna skip it either, because this shit is awesome. The boots kick off with plus HP and plus 10 shield skill. Oh my god, yes. From there it just gets better. Plus 2 enmity and plus HP on the gloves, with, dex, yay, I guess, whatever. The coronet continues with the HP and enmity train, and adds an enhanced cover for good measure to allow it to handle magic damage as well. That's crazy. Cover was already so awesome, it just stole damage from somebody else, and it saved my ass more than once in Final Fantasy XI. And now that you added magic spells to that, that's ridiculous. The pants are probably the least exciting, but not because they're bad. Plus 5 enhancing magic skill is neat, but only if you're the one casting the protect and shell on yourself, which wasn't too often in a party. But 3 agility, more HP, and more plus enmity is still really solid. Finally, the body, which is one of the coolest body pieces in the game, and seriously unique, had an awesome plus 5 divine magic skill for flashes, which were used every fight. Plus 4 vitality was obviously sweet, the only stat Paladins even cared about for a long time. And a whopping plus 20 HP and another 2 enmity, there's just nothing wrong with it. There's nothing fancy or flashy about most of these slots. It's not the kind of gear that spreads stories like the Red Mage hat, but they're all just solidly good. I don't really remember what else was available at 60 for Paladins, but I can't remember a party with a Paladin where they weren't wearing the full set for at least a long time. That's more plus enemy than you can normally get for an affordable price for basically anything else, so everybody wore it. Paladins, jump in here and let me know in the comments if everyone I played with was just super lazy, but as far as I can tell, they weren't really doing too badly with this set. Sadly, my Taro Paladin will always remain one of my lowest jobs. My buddy hammered his up to 99 and got some seriously sweet gear for it, including the O-Chain, and I doubt I'll ever get motivated enough to take it further now because of that. But man, my Taro would have looked awesomely sweet in that stuff. Moving on though to a job I did in fact level to 75, and one of my favorites, Samurai. Samurai was one of my favorite leveling experiences ever because that friend and I basically broke Final Fantasy XI to get it up there. We made a bard friend, a bard. He wanted to party with us. We felt like celebrities. So quick background, because I freaking love this story. By the time we leveled Samurai, we've been playing the game for a few years and knew it inside and out. We were getting a little tired of the restrictions ourselves and other players had put in how certain aspects of the game had to be played, mainly partying. They'd just introduced the Saigon Hasso changes and I'd gotten my hands on a Sobro, so we were super excited to try out this new and exciting version of Samurai. It was totally the bandwagon job of the week, but whatever, we had a great time. For those who don't remember, before this, Third Eye was just a single shadow once a minute. Saigon halved that recast timer and made it so that Third Eye could possibly absorb multiple attacks, similar to Utsuzemi. So we'd hop on Skype and party up as dual samurai and just decided to skip grabbing a tank when we'd build a party. which by the way took a lot of convincing. There were some red mages and bars that almost flat out refused to party with us. The DDs obviously were up for anything though, those desperate motherfuckers. But Dual Sam was freaking awesome because we were always the same level and had pretty much the same gear, so we could just swap hate super easily. It was always like a tight balance. And we just keep Saigon Third Eye up for as long as possible before swapping back and basically fake shadow tank. We just tell the other when the shadows were down and gone and try to get hate back with whatever we could, provoke, weapon skill, whatever. And it worked. But with 2 samurai in the party instead of a single tank, we literally melted through mobs while maintaining a pretty stable defense. It was one of the fastest leveling experiences we'd ever had, and we just kind of wondered how long it could last. But we made it all the way up through Calibri, and at that point figured we could probably take it on through 75, which we did with our newfound bard friend Silvos. By the time we'd reached those magmatic Irukas in Mount Xylem, we were like, I don't know, this really might not work, but it did, we just kept going. On top of all that, we could pull as samurai with a bow and change to polearm against the Calibri for the piercing bonus. It was just awesome. We could control almost all important aspects of the party. It was the best. But wow, that was a huge segue back to the artifact gear. So while equipping the full set of samurai artifact gear as a Tarotaro was one of the happiest moments for me in Final Fantasy XI, I think that might actually be the last time I wore it, because apparently Square Enix also loved our idea of samurai tanking long before we did. Besides the head, I don't think I've touched any other piece since. But we also have the first job of these videos to come from the Zillard expansion, meaning that all the coffers were in neat new Zillard zones. Kill me now. Quicksand Caves is one of them, and it's full of one-way trips that are a huge pain in the ass. You always have to like leave and come back in a different entrance. The coffer mobs all want to petrify you or blind you or silence you, just ugh. Then we have Temple of Ugolep. Temple of Ugolep as a summoner is an area that I was truly afraid of and continue to be to this day. The easiest mobs in the zone are the bees that once a month will final sting you out of nowhere straight into the ground. Other than that, it's full of exploding iron maidens and of course, Tonberries. Tonberries lived up to their history in Final Fantasy XI with throat stab driving you to near death no matter how much HP you have, and everyone's grudge, the most irritating move in the whole game. Everyone's grudge did damage based on how many Tonberries you'd killed. Resetting it was so annoying that it was always just stupid high. On top of that, as summoner, I always had that buffer of the summon itself protecting me, so I had a bad habit of letting the hate build up till it was like 18,000 damage. It was a dangerous place to be and super annoying to get golfers for. The reason I bring up Summoner here is because I never went to Temple of Ugolep as anything else if I could possibly avoid it, and farming coffers for my samurai, I was totally there as Summoner. The key was obviously a pain because as you fought more Tonberries trying to get one, you'd build up more and more Tonberry hate, making them that much more dangerous the longer you stayed there. But on top of that, the coffers themselves were often behind dangerous doors surrounded by aggroing creatures, and that one awful prelate door where you actually had to get another key to open that door. Sometimes you had to get 2 keys to get your freaking artifact. How can you be so cruel, Square Enix? The final location I think was Kuftal Tunnel. I mean, Kuftal Tunnel was super easy. You'd either partied there or at least done like a skill-up party there or something. I mean, those crabs drop that stuff constantly. But enough of all that ranting, back to the artifact gear itself. There really isn't too much to say though. I mean, the boots at +5 enmity. +5. That's more than any of the paladin pieces I listed, making it totally unwearable as a damage-dealing samurai. Not that it matters, because there's nothing else valuable about them, so you're not going to wear them anyway. The pants were next and are the only one saving grace, because not only do they look awesome, but they've got +3 strength, made them at least comparable to other options for quite a while. The gloves are just comical. +4 dex, which isn't terrible I guess, but enhances the effect of rice balls? Seriously? So something might have changed since the days of old, but the kink was that you had to keep wearing the gloves when you ate the rice balls. There were better glove options and all the bonuses were like more attack or occasionally double attack, and they didn't seem bad, but there was just better food options. Unfortunately, most parties fought IT++ mobs, so sushi was king until you could get away with more accuracy than was needed. At which point you probably didn't want to wear the artifact hands full time anyway. It is a cute idea though. Next was that beautiful body, which looked amazing and sounded cool with its increased TP gain when taking damage, until you remember that you're probably not taking damage much in a party. I mean, even when we were tanking, it was with Saigon Third Eye, and then you realize that even if you do, it's only 1 to 3 TP a hit. It's not like a lot. On a job that builds TP faster than any other, I mean, like, who cares? But next up really is one of the best, the Kabuto, adding another 20 to 40 TP for your meditates. I mean, that's awesome. For a fortunate few, getting this piece was an opportunity for the first solo skill chains of our lives, and it was pretty sweet. I remember the first one I managed to fire off, I was like, that was awesome, I'm so glad I did that. Alas, you only needed to swap it in when using Meditate, so while it was one of the coolest headpieces in the game, you'd never see it. But that's it for Paladin and Samurai, guys. I went a bit off the rails, but both these jobs have some of my favorite Final Fantasy XI stories ever, so it's hard not to get a little distracted when talking about the artifact gear. Let me know your thoughts on both these artifact sets and whether or not I was missing out on some truly awesome stuff with those rice balls. I probably have zero regrets. I mean, it was like 8 years ago, and sushi was pretty good. Let me know what artifact gears you're hoping to see next, and I'll see you guys next week. As always, guys, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, you should totally think about subscribing. I've got videos coming out twice a week, and if you like this one, there's at least a chance you'll like some of the others that are very similar to this, so live dangerously. Let me know what you guys thought about the video in the comments and other videos you'd like to see. And finally, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Huntin for Games to keep up with all the latest stuff. See ya.